Good afternoon and welcome to another Kerfuffle webinar. And the man laughing when he shouldn't be in the corner is the magical Mr. Kristian Stott. Mr. Stott, how are you, sir?
Very well, Simon. You?
Yeah, I like that. You turned that down then. You were talking off camera and you were upbeat, and now you're making me look a mug.
I am upbeat. That was upbeat.
Okay, mate, you've got a fantastic webinar here today because we're talking about, do robots have a place in the estate agency industry? And before you start, that's not a dig at Andy Overman. This is actual robots, isn't it?
Well, you went there with that one. Virtual robots. Yeah. They haven't got sort of plastic arms and they don't do backflips, but virtual robotics and in particular mixing that with AI.
Yeah. Okay. You're sprinkling all the right terms here now. This is lovely. But in all honesty, that as much as you're saying that, self-deprecatingly, I genuinely think it's really important we frame that right, because you've told me this a few times now, and of course the problem is you hear robots, don't you? And it's very difficult to break out of that. That
100%.
So Roxus,
and I think
Roxus is the company, isn't it, Kristian? So
that's right.
Company, and then titled as digital transformation experts, aren't they? In terms of there. So do you want to just give us the briefest of overviews that we can get the ball rolling with about what they do?
Okay, and I think we're inundated with technology, and indeed incumbent in all of that technology is levels of automation. Whether that exists inside of workflows, whether it's integrations to other products and creating journeys through different things. And, we're not really looking to sort of play so much in that space. What we're looking to do is to help people transform beyond the CRM, beyond the technology they're already using, whether that's to integrate those products together better, or more to actually, with everything that you buy and implement, you create new stuff to do. Even if it's already automating, you create new tasks for the humans to do. And every time people innovate inside their own businesses, they create more things for people to do.
Yeah.
And they want to build beautiful customer journeys. They want to present much more detailed and insightful data to customers. They want to collate and collect it and present it, and it all takes work. And so, particularly in this agency space, I think we feel there's a really big opportunity for robots to help businesses refine human activity down to the empathetic, to the bit that customers want, and then to take the non-empathetic relationships of the task-based transactional stuff and automate that as far as possible. And where people are using decent CRMs, where they're using other technology products, great, amazing. Yeah. And then what we're looking to do is to help them either use them better and faster, or to go beyond those products to deliver the initiatives they're looking to deliver, or just at a transactional level to say, if you do this thing repeatedly, whether it's keystrokes, mouse moves, document collection, data gathering, data moving from one place to the other, logging into portals and registering information, if you're doing those things repeatedly, even if it's a small thing that makes a small change, if you isolate it, map that process, build an automation to deal with it, you don't look back. If you want to scale.
And that's the key element, isn't it, Kristian, is looking and identifying, and you have to break yourself out of the zone, because often you almost just goes on in your business and you don't notice it anymore, even though it can be quite a big job a lot of the time. So the key is to looking, analyzing, and of course we'll come to later on how you can help them out with this review process, but they need to look at that. I think one of the things here that, once I understand the concept of what this automation and these robotics can do, could literally relieve our teams, our human beings, from doing that work. And that's right, isn't it, really?
Oh yeah, 100%. And I think what's really interesting is you've got, sort of both ends of the business don't always realize how much goes on at the desktop. And I think often people become so sort of locked into the type of work that they do that they don't analyze the fact that it could potentially be mitigated or changed for the better. They just plow on and keep doing it, and they kind of try to do it harder and harder so that they feel that they're better and better, that the service levels they do are increased, that the customer experience is bettered. And I think that lack of observation, I mean, I've worked with different businesses where their process mapping has ranged from being nil through to really quite precise. And I think when you do that in a business and you find those processes, if there's an opportunity to automate partially or completely, it shouldn't be ignored, because every click and mouse move costs money. Every time you hit a keyboard, it costs money. And if it's not necessary, get rid of it.
And so people quite often always get a bit defensive about this, don't they? Because they talk about, nervously say, oh, well, that means getting rid of XYZ member of staff and everything else. And the key point here, as you said, is, well, very rarely does that need to happen. What it does is it means you don't have to recruit more staff, as many staff as you would have, to help the next phase of expansion or anything else. Yes, you can be hard-nosed about it, but the simple honesty is it doesn't make sense to have a human being doing what a technology and an automation and robotics can do itself, does it? It's just insanity.
Yeah.
You've got to.
I think there's a couple of ways of looking at that. The first one is, if you sit in a meeting with a staff member and say to them, do you feel you're wasting a ton of time every day with laborious, repetitive tasks that don't really help you make money, and they are barriers to you delivering the empathetic service you want to give? They pretty much universally say no.
Yeah.
No, I don't do that, because it's a confession. If they have to announce the fact that they are doing laborious, repetitive work, what are they worried about? That they might be right, that you might take it away. And you talked about not adding more humans to scale, which is a really good benefit of workflow automation at any level, whether you're doing that inside a CRM with native functions, or whether you're actually building it in with other layers of technology. And I think what's really important is getting the humans doing the right kind of work in the first place. If you say to, certainly an agency, it's a particularly salient point, is that if you ask the customer what exactly they wanted, they want someone to look after them, to understand them, to care about them, to make the journey easy, to reassure them. All of those things are very human relationships. They take for granted the fact that you're going to download a document from the land registry to register a tenancy deposit. They take for granted that the sales progression process is really quite arduous and challenging. They take for granted that lead handling is bulky, and there's a lot of failed leads before you get to the one that turns into gold. And I don't think they really care how you get there or what gets done, as long as it does get done. But if you want to give them more of the secret sauce, the bit that they love, it's free up the humans' time to allow them to focus on that customer experience and the interactions. Don't tie up that time clicking and typing and dragging one thing from one place to another and logging into something to do something, because it can be automated.
Well, let's tap into the first time I've ever done it, my economics history degree.
Right.
And yeah, you're absolutely right. What's interesting is that things like this, robotics, automation, they create opportunities. And, during the Industrial Revolution, and many people talk about this next robotics revolution that we're going to go through. There will be some losses, but it will be a transitory period, as you saw during the Industrial Revolution. If you think about what happened to the cotton mills, you wouldn't think, say today, well, obviously it makes sense for loads of humans to try and replicate that same work, would you? What happened was, in those things, humans went on then to they went on to do the creative, didn't they? Designing the fashion pieces, and letting those automated tasks, or those repetitive tasks, let the machines deal with it, basically.
I think also, if you look at that competitive space, every business has to focus on its value proposition. Why are we better than them? Why would somebody want to work with us? Why would somebody want to use us? And I think if you actually got in a sort of panel of customers and said, do you want to work with us because we upload files to the internet better than the agent next door, or any other repeat task, no one's going to vote for that. They're not interested. No. The value proposition is around how it makes you feel, the experience, the value for money. Was it good? And I don't think that's aided in that sense. I think you're absolutely right. This revolution, people want engaging work. They want fulfilling work. They want to enjoy it. They want their customers to enjoy it, and that can be achieved with automation. And yes, is it a revolution? I don't know how long it's going to take. I mean, if you look at the stats on, key business decisions by 2035 are going to be made by people that are young now, who drive technology at a phenomenal pace. More importantly, they look for hacks. They look to cut out the journey. They want automation in everything they do. They don't want to be tapping and clicking and typing.
One of the tidiest accusations for the last 10, 15 years in property has been, we've been waiting for this huge disruptive wave that is going to come along and change everything forever. And they spoke about that with the online agents for a long period of time. But actually,
if you listen to the property press, it happens twice a week. But
and it's been awfully robust, or whereas other industries have seen that kind of change here. But what it strikes me as is that this genuinely does have the ability to deliver those disruptive changes. And what's interesting is we're not now at the kind of MVP stage. We're not looking at when technology sometimes is launched and breaks on the rocks, doesn't it? Because with its first wave failure. This is out there. This is happening. There are plenty of industries, and like with every kind of revolution, you can be ahead of the curve, or you can be, often drowned out by that wave, can't you? That comes along, and so those people that pivot quickly with this can genuinely seize a massive advantage, can't they?
100%. And if you look at the use cases, I think with a lot of technology, people are trying to sort of ride in on a white horse and cure every problem in one fell swoop and watch it all go away. And I think that level of expectation is always quite upsetting. You never actually get what you thought you might. I think looking at finding lots of little things that go on all the time and just fixing those problems, making them go away, that level of technology, yes, revolution, word you used. I think it will become pervasive. There's an element where, as let's call it core applications, CRMs, as they iterate their product, they will further automate, they will build out very intelligent workflows, they will integrate further and further and deeper into all the ecosystem of product. But you will still have your own idiosyncratic behaviors, your own customer journeys and experiences that you wish to deliver, which involve doing stuff, tasks, adding bits here, passing bits there. And I think because of that, you're right. If you're at the front curve, you can build that business that runs beautifully, because the humans in that business are doing exactly what you pay them for, which is making decisions, delivering empathy, delivering experiences, not filling in forms and
not doing that. Well, we're going to come back to the CRMs later, because there's a point I really want to touch on there, which we'll do. So talk us how you particularly got to this place, then give us your background in terms of and also why agents should listen to you, because of course they are very I was saying that in a polite way, but they're used to ivory tower techies coming along and promising all this prop tech bullshit, frankly, and they're tired of it. And what I think is vital in getting across to them is you've lived and breathed agency for now too long to remember and everything else, but you do sit as well very ably in that very tech savvy element there, and that's why I think you're very worth talking to. So I've teed you up. Give us your this is your life. Tell us.
Well, I don't know how long I've known you now, but it's a long time. You're right. I've got a technical background and done a lot of work inside of agency, culminating in sort of business management and building teams in agency. And a part of that has been watching the inbound flow of regulatory compliance, data upon data upon data, product upon product, all these must-haves, can't live without. So like you say, this guy arrives.
Sorry about telling you that.
Well, yeah, this guy arrives and says, buy my CRM, it's the best ever.
And then he buggers off.
Yeah. And I think for me, I'm quite focused on looking for small but meaningful problems to fix, and I'm quite good at knowing which rug to pull back in order to find them. It's a long-winded and difficult process, because the introspect and the engineering processes you have to go through to find out what you do, how you do it, then analyze whether you could do it differently. And once you've actually got through that process, then you build out the automation, and you look at the automation, you look at the breakpoints. Well, at which point do I want a human involved in this?
Yeah.
A good example would be something like rent collect. If you try to automate completely rent collect from one end to the other, you're going to miss a really vital component, which is empathy. There's generally a good reason why people haven't paid their rent, and they will be stressed about it. So you've got to look at those business processes and say, right, up to this point, we can automate every single phase of this journey. But right here, we're going to get a human involved. We're going to deliver that personalized service to make it comfortable. And then we're going to go back to automating.
What you're saying there is, think about, it's not either or. It's like so many of these things, omni-channel or whatever else. It's a mixed blend of that part of the process is going to be automated and looked after by technology. This part, once it hits that, the baton is passed. That's when a human being picks it up and takes their place in the whole relationship. Yeah.
Yeah. And one word that you see a lot in the industry is this concept of augmenting. And I think the truth is it's quite a well-positioned term. It's not replacing. It's saying, right, how can we do this as well as possible? So how can we take this individual, a good example is one way of using robotics is actually an attended robot, which sits on your desktop. It's, a guy I work with describes it as that horrible little paperclip that used to jump up in Microsoft Office all those years ago. He was actually the most infuriating piece of technology ever, but that's by the by.
Wasn't it Clippy?
Clippy, yeah. Horrible little thing. But anyway.
I call that
attended robotics.
I call that the missus now. she's always trying to give me advice like that. I don't want to know.
It looked like you're writing a letter, Whaley. The attended robotics will sit there and it will know what those routine tasks are. So let's say, for example, you register something into a website.
Yeah.
So the attended robot will notice you're doing that act, or note the trigger that creates that act, and do it for you.
Yeah.
So, the human still looks at the same screen doing the same things, but their activity is augmented by the fact that the robot knows what they're doing, knows how to do it for them, and takes over at that most full point. If you think about, contact centers are a really interesting one. To say you could completely automate a contact center in most industries is probably a new breed of madness. But to say I have a target of reducing call times by 10%, but increasing client satisfaction by 20%, how are you going to do that? You can't do it by adding more people, because you're not necessarily reducing call time. So what you've got to do is perform better on a per call basis.
Yeah.
And that is in two ways. One is to, if you want to increase the customer experience, you've still got to deliver the outcomes they're looking for. So, first call resolution, authoritative behaviors, delivering the thing they asked you to do, but doing it quicker and smoother. So they still are as grateful or more grateful at the end, but spent less time getting to that point.
Yeah.
And, augmenting that human behavior to speed it up, to make it more accurate, to make it more valuable, to bring in more data or create new events quicker. You're not dramatically fixing or eradicating a contact center problem. You're changing it and creating better, smoother, faster behaviors to make it more efficient, to make it more cost effective, to increase the engagement levels and the value that the contact center agents feel, and to increase customer experience at the other end. So at the end of that call, they sort of say, right, first call resolution. Not that they'd use that terminology, but in their mind, they're going, wow, they did the thing I asked them to do.
Yeah.
That's great, because normally they ask me or pass me here or interdepartment me or get back to me with an email. You know, they fixed the thing I wanted. And all these outcomes happened, and I got an email, and I got a bottle of wine in the post, and my thing got updated, and my balance got settled, and it happened real quick.
Yeah,
2-3 minutes, all over and done.
Okay, Kristian, look, it's very exciting. I'm particularly excited to see how this develops. So let's obviously catch up and stay in touch, and let's get some clients on as well, talking about their real life experiences, because this goes across the whole gamut of what you do in a business, isn't it? And that's the exciting elements of it. For today, mate, yeah. Thank you very much. Exciting as ever, and let's continue talking.
It's really lovely to see you, Simon. Take care.
Cheers, matey. Thank you.